And I'm walking into a clothing store in one of the local malls. I'm looking for a new pair of pants. So I walk in the store and I'm looking at a display of pants. And a sales guy walks up to me and says, "What?
Can I help you?"
Can I help you?" And I say,
No, just looking.
"No thanks, just looking." That's sort of the pat answer, right? So he says, "Well, if you see anything you like, if you need any help, let me know." So I thought, okay, that's a good enough deal. So off he goes. And I find a couple of pair of pants, and they're identical in every way, except for the price. And I can't figure out what's the difference between these two pants. So I find myself needing help. So I look over just in time to get his attention, and he's talking to another sales guy. And so he looks over at me, and I go like this, and he gives me one of these. So how do you think that makes me feel as a customer? So I was a little offended by that. So I leave the store, and I go into another store. And I walk into the second store, and a sales lady comes up to me, and she says, "How can I help you?" And I say, "No thanks, just looking." And she says, "Well, if you see anything you like, if you need any help, let me know." And I'm thinking, I've heard that before. So I find a pair of pants. I like them. I go to the change room and I put them on. They look good. They feel good. They fit. So I decide to buy them. So I take the pants and I walk over to the cash counter, and she is sitting behind the cash counter. And I put the pants on the counter and I reach into my back pocket and I pull out my wallet. Now, in the world of professional selling, we refer to that as a buying signal. Apparently, she went to the same sales school as the last guy because she was sitting there on the phone. And that's okay by me if she's working with a customer or something. I have no problem with that. I couldn't hear the whole conversation, but I could hear her side of it. And whoever she was talking to, she was arguing with him about where they were going to have dinner that night. So I'm sure it wasn't the customer. So as she saw me, she's right there. So I waited until what I thought was a reasonable amount of time, and then when it became an unreasonable amount of time, I walked out of the store. No pants. I have pants. Let me know. If I don't have the pants, then buy any pants. So I'm thinking now I'm on a mission. Somebody's going to sell me some pants. So I walk into a third store. And I'm looking at a display of pants, and this really pretty sales lady comes over to me, and she says, no. She says, "My guess is you're about a size 32 waist. Is that about right?" Remember, this is 20-something years ago. I said, "Yeah, I think that sounds about right." And she says, "Well, are you looking for something for business or more recreational?" And I said, "Well, I'm actually playing in a band, so I'm looking kind of both, you know." And she says, "Well, what do you play in the band?" I said, "I'm a guitar player." And she says, "Okay, so you're not sitting down all the time like a drummer would." I said, "No." She said, "You're up walking around the stage?" I said, "Sometimes." She said, "Where does your band play?" I said, "Well, we play in bars, big bars, small bars, fairs, all over the place." And she says, "Well, when you're on the stage, I'm guessing that there's a lot of lights. Are the lights hot? Does it get hot?" I said, "Yeah, sometimes the lights get pretty hot." She says, "Okay, so you're going to need something that is durable but light so that you don't get too hot. You need them to look good because you're in the public eye, so you don't want them all wrinkled, and they need to be kind of, comfortable so you can move around." I said, "Yeah, that sounds really good." And she looks at me and she smiles and she says, "Come with me." Now you got to understand, it's not very often that a pretty lady walks up to me and smiles and says, "Come with me." So I said, "Okay." I follow her. She takes me to another display of pants, and she rips through them for a second, and she takes a pair of pants, and she hands them out to me. And as she hands them out to me, I reach out to grab them, but she doesn't let them go. She holds on to them. With her left hand, she's holding the pants. With her right hand, she opens the door of the change room and ushers me in and closes the door. That was pretty slick, right? So I'm in the change room and I change. I put the pants on. And I had just bought a new pair of shoes because I'm trying to look cool on the stage, And so I put the pants on and they look pretty good. They're a little loose here. And I'm looking around in the change room and there's no mirrors in the change room. And it occurred to me, go back up there. Right? I thought, that's pretty slick, you know? So I go out of the change room, and I'm looking in the mirror, and, you know, I'm checking them out. I check the backyard, make it look like I have a bump, you know. And she is standing there with another pair of pants in her hand, and in her right hand, she's got a shirt on a hanger, a really nice green shirt. And she says to me, how do they fit? I said, well, they fit pretty good, but they're actually a little bit loose here. And she said, you know, she said, they're going to shrink a little bit, but I thought that might happen. Try these. So she hands me a second pair of pants. And she's still got this green shirt on a hanger. So I take the pants, I go into the change room, and I put the pants on. And they fit beautifully. So I step outside of the change room. Oh, and she says to me, when you come out, make sure to put those shoes on. She says, I want to see how they look with those new shoes. I said, okay. So I come out of the change room with the new pants on, and she's got the shirt now in her left hand. And she says, how do they feel? I said, they feel pretty good. And she says, yeah, they look good. She said, turn around. So I turn around, and you know, she checks out the backyard. I said, does it look like I have a bump? She said, yeah, it looks like you might have a bump there. And then she says, yeah, they look really good. She said, they look great with those shoes. And then she goes, and I said, what's the matter? She goes, you know, it would really be a shame. I said, what would be the shame? She says, to be the best dressed guy in the bar from the waist down and just one of the crowd from the waist up. And she reaches out with the shirt. She reaches out with the shirt, so I mechanically reach out with the shirt. She opens the door to the change room and closes the door. And I spent twice as much money at that store that day than I had any business making. So why do I tell you that story? Here's why I tell you that story. Think about your business. Think about what you do. Think about the people in your business who are doing what you do. And what do all of them do the same? What do they all do the same and do something different? When you go into a retail store, can I help you? Is everybody does that, right? She did something completely different. All the businesses that I've been in, I've done something completely different. When Dave and I were in the band together, how were we different? When we got off the stage, Dave and I went to meet every single person in the place every single night. All the other bands, they get off the stage, they go to the dressing room, they hide in the corner, and they go up for beer, drugs, whatever, you know. But Dave and I would come right up to your table, and we just sit right down and say, hi, how do you like this so far? And we meet everybody every single night. That's one of the things we did different. All of the other bands, they had photographs of the bands that were like this. Ours were this big. They were this big. And Dave had the piano, he'd be playing the piano, and on the front of the piano we would put a stack of these huge posters. And somebody on the dance floor would always see them and reach up and grab one and to drag on the floor behind them when they walked, you know. And we would spend our breaks signing these posters, autographs. We were different. We were completely different. What do I do different in my business now? You're looking at it. This is what I do differently. Bob and I do this differently. Who else is doing this? I don't just teach people public speaking and networking and confidence. I bring them in a room where they can network and put them up on a stage where they can speak. That's what I do differently. What do you do differently? Think about that. What can you do that is so out of the ordinary for your business that customers are going to remember who you are? Does that make sense? Put up your hand if that was of value. Great. Tremendous. Thank you very much. Please welcome back Bob.